Hello, anybody, and thanks for tuning in to Monday Morning Handicapping. This is a race recap edition of the Grade 2 Risen Star. This is the follow up video to my race forecast where I break down the race, look at the pace scenario, and give you my top pick and my rationales for why I picked that horse. The agenda for this video, the first thing, apologies for a technical error. I've noticed the last couple of my videos will have a blackout of the screen. You can still hear the audio, but the screen goes out for some reason. Since I caught wind of that, I've updated my computer and changed a little bit of the settings in the software. So I'm actually putting out this video a little bit earlier just to not only address the race itself, but to see if I fix the error. So stay with me. If the error occurs, I will work on it, but I hope to have it fixed by now. Now that that's over with, we're going to do the recap of the race forecast. We'll recap my perceived pace scenario, just give everyone a glimpse of how I thought the race was going to be run. Again, that's covered in my race forecast video of the same race. Go over who my pick was. We'll watch the replay, discuss the winner, and then some overall takeaways. And this section is for my own handicapping, and maybe I can point out some tips or information for everyone else to think about moving forward with their handicapping. So you might not overlook a horse, or you might emphasize some key parts of the winner that ended up winning the race and what that looked like on the racing form. So for more information on this race, the race details, the pace scenario, greater rationale of my top pick, contenders for exotics, exactas, trifectas, who I thought would finish second, third, and fourth, how I was going to play or bet the race, you can go back to that episode 13 of the race forecast of the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes at Fairgrounds 2025. It's under the race forecast playlist for more information on the race. I'm just briefly going to touch on it in this video. So the pace scenario, I thought the 4 horse was the speed of the speed, should lead this field throughout the race, or at least in the early stages. Some of those front runners or sort of stalking the pace types, I thought the 1, 3, 9, 12, and 13 would be somehow tucked in behind that 4. Some of the mid pack a little bit further back, the 5, 7, 8, and 10, and rounding out the field early on in the back would be the 6 and the 11. My top pick was number 4, East Avenue, 9 to 5 on the morning line. I thought this horse was the speed of the speed. If you look back to some of its 2-year-old races, it debuted in a sprint going 6 furlongs, and it ran a typical sprint fractions, 23 seconds to the first quarter, 23 and change to the second, a sub 12 to the next eighth of a mile, and just over 12 to the following eighth. So about a 24-second flat final quarter mile. Solid time, especially on a debut. Then this horse came out to a mile and a 16th, ran a 23-second opening quarter, so even faster than this horse ran in its 6 furlong race, now going a mile and a 16th. 46.76, so almost as fast as that sprint. Again, 111 to the 3/4 mile, and that's what a 6 furlong race is, 3/4. So a little bit slower, but you're going a much further distance, a mile and a 16th. But this horse was just going really quick, and then finished that mile and a 16th race in a time of 143.17. The most recent start missed the break, so I kind of forgave that race entirely. I thought the pedigree boded well for the distance. This horse was bred by Medagliadoro, the sire or the father of the horse, and the dam sire was a horse named Ghost Zapper. Both highly touted horses on the breeding side of things, also were no slouch on the racetrack themselves. For more information on the pedigree, you can go check out my Kentucky Derby prospect video on East Avenue. I forgave the last start in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile where he missed the break. Again, right against top competition, right when the gates opened, this horse almost fell down. Got shuffled back to the back of the pack early on, as you can see in the run line. It was breaking from post 1. As soon as the race started, this horse fell back to 9th place. And if you look below, this horse is used to being in first on the lead early on. So this horse was breaking from the rail, so the closest to the inside. Missed the step, almost fell down, and all the horses just ran right in front of him. So this horse was just relegated to the back. So I kind of scratched out that race, thinking missing the break was somewhat of a fluke. This horse looked to be fit, had lots of 5 furlong workouts since that race, which was on November 1st. So if we look at the workout tab, this horse worked out January 3rd, 4 furlongs, January 9th, 4 furlongs, January 17th, a 5 furlong bullet, so the fastest of the day at that track. Going that distance in a workout was the best of 44 horses. Another 5 furlong workout, another 5 furlong workout, and another 5 furlong workout. And that just told me that this horse should be fit to run a further distance, which the Grade 2 Risen Star was a mile and an eighth. So actually a 16th further than this horse had ever raced before. How did I think this horse would win? I thought it would go wire to wire. I thought this horse was the fastest in the field. Thought it would, if it broke sharply, it would go to the lead, and no other horse on paper showed that it would be able to run as fast and keep up with this horse early. So I thought it would get to the lead and stay there throughout the race. So now let's go ahead and watch the race itself. So our horse is number 4 here, brakes sharply, does not stumble like it did in that Breeders' Cup race. Looks like it's up near the lead, but this horse on the outside goes to the lead, and our horse takes back. Happy to sit in second right now. A clear path, no traffic, no horses in its way. Saving some ground, not quite on the rail. There's one horse who it's inside, but not going wide around the turns, which makes you obviously run a further distance of ground. So our horse basically has a target, which is this 13 horse winging it on the lead. 23.42 to the opening quarter, so it's going pretty quick. And our horse has run about this fast in its mile and a 16th race. But this race is a 16th of a mile longer, so pretty swift up front. Our horse looks like it's just striding fine. Jockey's not doing too much on it. Horse is just running at this pace pretty much by itself. 46.92 to the half mile, so about 23 and a half seconds to the next quarter mile, so about the same pace, a tad slower. Now we'll start to watch the body language on our four, and the jockey's starting to pump his arms, and he's getting passed by other horses. If we look up top, this horse is really falling back now, and I know this horse is done. This horse is not going to go on to win. It's right here in the middle of all these horses and just fading. Everyone else is swallowing up our horse. 4 to 5 odds. There's about 300,000 of the $700,000 in the win pool on this horse. Big favorite in a big talented field and just not running, not competitive. Tried to stay near the pace and just could not keep up, did not fire its shot. And the eventual winner was a wire to wire winner. So after the race, I had to go back and see maybe what did I overlook about East Avenue. East Avenue was coming off a 3-month layoff, making his 3-year-old debut. So if you look down here, the most recent race, November 1st, 2024. So it's been about 3 months since his last race. Horses have a tendency to have a big change in form between their 2 to 3-year-old campaign. If you look up here, you can see he's 3 now. And every horse at the turn of the new year goes up a year in age, regardless of when the horse was actually born. This horse was actually born in February, as you can see, but once it's January 1st, every horse is considered 1 year older. And when horses go from their 2-year-old to 3-year-old year and their 3-year-old to their 4-year-old year, they're really doing a lot of maturing, both physically and mentally. So you really want to take notice of how horses perform as they age from their 2 to 4-year-old years. You usually like to see them start their new year at or about where they left off and then continue to build from there. I also wondered if there were too many 5 furlong works. This horse hadn't been racing lately, and a lot of times horses race into race shape. So instead of a bunch of workouts, they might have a couple of races that they quote needed, and that helps them get more familiar with the racing scene and also just get more fit so they're more comfortable on the track and can do their best running. I wondered if not racing for 3 months and then all these 5 furlong workouts was a little too taxing on the horse. Maybe like to see a 4 furlong workout before a race like this somewhere sprinkled in, maybe a 3 furlong, maybe some slower 5 furlong works. I just wondered if these quick 5 furlong workouts just took a little too much out of the horse before this day. The last race I forgave because the horse did stumble right out of the gate and basically got relegated to near last place early on. But this horse also, if you go back and watch the replay, showed no grit when things didn't go his way. This horse did not pass any horses throughout the race, did not seem to like to be in the back of the pack, did not like dirt kicked in his face, and just did not battle at all, did not even try to win. This horse just looked lifeless from the jump. Again, I do forgive the missing the break, but after that, you'd like to see a little bit of try from the horse, even if it makes a middle move, tries to rush up halfway through the race to make up that ground, and then fade later, I could forgive, but this horse never rushed up and just never looked like it wanted to get back in contention of that race. So I think I should have just forgave the break, but I should not have forgiven the way he ran the rest of the race. The best races were loose on the lead. Competition was getting much stiffer. So this horse, when it won, it got to the lead and was clear by a length, 2 lengths, 4 lengths, and then ended up winning by more. But we're getting near the Kentucky Derby. These horses and trainers are really going to want to get an entry into the Kentucky Derby. So the horses are going to be really fit and ready to take on a horse like East Avenue, who had such a good 2-year-old campaign. The last win for East Avenue, he beat a horse named Ferocious, if you follow my cursor. And this horse came back to run recently, did not fare very well in a rout. And there's a lot of speculation that Ferocious might be a better one-turn horse or maybe even a sprinter. So this horse, East Avenue, beat Ferocious, who is just not up to par with running these types of races. So the eventual winner of that race, number 13 Magnitude, who wired the field, this horse was purchased for $450,000 back in March, which was the second most expensive horse purchase in this race. So to spend $450,000 on a horse, they must know something is good about this horse, whether it be the pedigree or just the conformation at the time, how the horse is built. But either way, this horse was purchased for nearly $500,000. The sire is a horse named Not This Time, who I keep notes from podcasts that I listen to when they talk about horses, especially on the pedigree sides of things. And Not This Time seems to be a very versatile sire. This horse's offspring can run in sprints, can run in routes, can run on turf, can run on dirt. So a very versatile type of sire. The dam sire Bernardini had 8 career starts, 6 wins, and a second, earned $3 million in career earnings. Bernardini routing, going a mile or more, ran it 7 times, won 6 of those, a second place finish. At the grade 1 level, which is the cream of the crop racing, had 4 starts and grade 1 races, won 3 of them, ran second once. Going a distance of a mile and a quarter, it tried it. Bernardini ran it 3 times, won twice, and ran second once. So Bernardini has excellent racing credentials and obviously has the pedigree to run longer distances. So the fact that Magnitude's dam sire was Bernardini out of Not This Time tells me that there's not only versatility, but some classic grade 1 distance breeding as well. Magnitude had been racing regularly since debut. It had a short 2 month break between September and November after its first route attempt. So as you can see, it started out its career racing in June, came back about a month later in July, about a month later in September, took a 2 month break, came back in November, came back in December, ran again in January. So this horse is running regularly. Tells me that the horse is sound, should be coming into this race just fine. Horse's last 3 races were at a mile and a 16th, so I definitely think routing is what the trainer wants this horse to do and where the trainer thinks this horse is best suited. Two Back ran second to Built, who was also in this race, but in that race, Built was loose on the lead that day. And if many of you may have listened to some other videos, when a horse is loose on the lead, it's really hard to run him down because those horses loose on the lead, meaning not being contested for the lead, can run a lot more comfortably and set their own comfortable pace so they're not overexerting themselves early. And it's just an easy way to win a race. But Bill also came back and narrowly missed the win in the Grade 3 Lecomte on a sloppy, muddy track. If you follow my cursor here, you'll see sloppy here, and you can see Built beat Magnitude by 6 3/4 lengths in this race. Came back, Built almost won this grade 3 in the sloppy track. So Built is obviously a classy horse, fits at the graded stakes level. Magnitude was also in this race, ran 6th, but only by 2 3/4 lengths, so not totally embarrassed. Magnitude was between horses for most of that race in the slop, got a little bit tight in the stretch, still battled on gamely late when it found room in that grade 3 Lecomte on the sloppy track. And we're going to watch that race now just to get a glimpse of the trouble Magnitude had in that race and that I overlooked, which could have told me that the horse could run better today. So Magnitude is the 4. Gets a little bit tight early right out of the stretch, has to take back, falls a little bit back. Now it's between horses, not the most comfortable spot to run, but horse is cruising along just fine. And as you'll see when we go on the back stretch, there's horses in front of Magnitude, there's horses to the side, so just nowhere for the horse to go. The horse can't get any closer to the leaders because of the traffic in front of him. Can't go around the horses because of the horses to its outside and inside. See right here, our horse is just kind of boxed in. This jockey in the yellow silk's right in front, a horse on the inside and outside. Doesn't want to cause a spill, obviously, but just can't find any room at this point. Still no room, just boxed in all around. Trying to keep the cursor on him best I can with the white cap. Jockey's got the white cap. Now starting to get a little bit of room, but still horses right in front and to the outside, so can go forward, but can't really get around anybody. Getting dirt kicked in his face the whole way around. The jockey's really scrubbing on him, asking him to pick it up. Keep it on him right here in the white cap. Now you'll see in the stretch, it gets a little bit tight. Right here, trying to go outside of this horse. Finds a little bit of seam, but this horse on the outside kind of comes in, makes it real tight for Magnitude to get through. See, he's coming up behind this horse. This horse gives him a small window to get through. Has to hold up a little, but now that he's clear, watch. Starts to pick up his momentum again. Almost passes the 6, who is a clear length in front. Picking it up, just had some trouble throughout the race, and I thought that was noteworthy, and I sort of overlooked. Magnitude also won his only race when he went to the lead, so if you look down in his second career start in a 7 furlong race, broke his maiden by breaking out of the gate, going right to the lead, and never looked back. Trainer Steve Asmussen, right here, if you follow my cursor, is in the Hall of Fame and is the record holder for most wins. So this horse being spotted in a grade 2 by a Hall of Fame trainer, this trainer knows what to do with the horse, knows where to place him. So the fact that he put this horse in this race just gives me a little bit of confidence because this trainer can obviously put horses where they win. That's how you become a record holder for the most wins. So overall takeaways, everyone can read the form and no one was going to let East Avenue get loose. They could see that this horse wanted the lead and the best chances for this horse was to get to the lead. And with such a big, talented field, someone was going to have to take the race to him. It's a critical time to gain entry into the Kentucky Derby, so all the horses really need to start firing their best shot or get off of the Derby trail and go to a race where they belong. Improving horses need to prove they belong, so they are going to give their best effort in a race like this leading up to the Kentucky Derby. With young horses, especially, take a closer look at those that have been running regularly and in good form. Again, when they're missing training or missing races, that's really critical when they're this young and developing. You really want to get them familiar with the racing and the racetrack, and running them is another way to exercise them, but they also gain the experience of being in front of a crowd, getting dirt kicked in their face, navigating through traffic, and everything else that running in a race entails. 2-year-old form may not transfer to 3-year-old form, which may not transfer to 4-year-old form. I touched on this earlier, but this horse, East Avenue, was going from a 2-year-old to a 3-year-old, and sometimes horses just don't improve this early on. Sometimes they peak in their 2-year-old year and aren't the same at 3 or 4-year-old. Sometimes they peak at 3-year-olds, sometimes even 4-year-old, and once in a while a little bit older, but this is when they're doing their most maturing physically and mentally. So not having raced in 3 months, going from 2-year-olds to 3-year-old, I miss a lot of time racing. So it's hard to know exactly how the horse is going to do coming into its 3-year-old debut in such a talented field. With all this, East Avenue was coming off a bad race. Again, he missed the break, but it also did not run well after that. A layoff at a critical time, trying a new distance at a new track against improving horses that have been racing into shape and coming into good form. That's it for the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like, subscribe, or share with friends. I hope you learned something from looking back on the winner and what you can glean moving forward next time you're handicapping a race. If you know anyone that is interested in horse racing, I have a couple of playlists dedicated for newcomers, how to read a racing form, where I break down the components of the racing form, which can look daunting, and I just explain what everything is, what it's telling you, what you can glean from it, and also a playlist betting on horse racing where I go over each of the individual bets, talk about what they are, how to lay them, how much they cost, and some things that I look for when I'm placing such bets. So that's it for this race recap edition. I appreciate everybody watching. I hope I got the technical glitch out of the way. If not, I will continue to work on it. But thanks for everyone sticking with me, and I'll see you next time.